Hey, what's going on? So, I am Brian Daniels, and I want to talk about my time as a Blockbuster video employee. So, this is going to be my first video in this Tales from the Block series. I was a Blockbuster video employee from about 2003 to about 2013. So, about 10 years. And I worked in Indianapolis, and you're probably going to see a photo of me here in a cage. We call it the cage, which is where we store most of our movies and stuff at. It's a photo of me at the Greenfield Blockbuster Video in Greenfield, Indiana. But I'm from Indianapolis, and I worked at several stores in Indianapolis, Washington and Sherman, 10th and Shadeland. I also worked at the Beech Grove Blockbuster in Beech Grove, Indiana as well, right across from, I think, Walmart over there. So those are the stores I've worked at alongside the one in Greenfield. And I'm doing this series to share with you guys my experiences at what was my favorite job I've ever worked at. And it was absolutely my favorite. So let's get into sharing with you my stories. And I want to start off by saying that Blockbuster Video was a very special job that I had. I loved working there. Every store I worked at felt like I was working with a family. And what I mean by that is our coworkers didn't feel like coworkers. They felt more like a family. And that's how it felt at Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a special time because, you don't have really any brick and mortar stores anymore. I think Family Video went out of business now, and they were the one that kind of hung on for a very long time and stuck around as long as they could. And I remember, when I worked at Blockbuster, there was Hollywood Video, there was Video Update, there was Red Giraffe Video, there was, of course, Hollywood Video. I think I already said that, but Hollywood Video. There was Movie Gallery. There was a ton of video rental stores. And there was even mom and pop stores, too. Like, we had D. Rose Video in Indianapolis, just to name a few. And, I don't know, the going into a brick and mortar store to rent a movie, of course, Family Video, too, to rent a movie was such a special time because, now everything is digital, right? And Netflix started the big trend of being able to stream movies. Now you've got Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video, Peacock. The list goes on and on and on. But back in the 2000s, in the 90s especially, before it, you had to go to your local Blockbuster or your local video rental place and rent movies and go in person and browse the shelves. And I think for me, that was one of those things that I missed the most, is just going in and browsing the shelves, going to the drama section or going to the family section. And then in Blockbuster especially, the entire back wall was the new release wall from A all the way to Z of all the new releases. And the thing about Blockbuster is it had a certain aesthetic to it. It had this blue carpet. It was yellow and blue. The walls were yellow. The shelves were very distinct. You had the Blockbuster Rewards program. I don't know if many of you remember that program or not, where, every fifth rental you got your sixth one free. And I think it was like $9.99 a month. Man, I can't believe I still remember that stuff. Not only that, but were the cards. The video cards themselves were really great as well. Being able to have to use a dot matrix printer, which is this giant printer that would print off membership cards. And it was also so old school in the sense that even all the way up until Blockbuster went out of business, corporately went out of business rather, they were still using a DOS-based computer program to rent out videos and check out videos to people, video games. And I know there's one Blockbuster location left, and that's in Bend, Oregon, which I hope one day I get the opportunity to go up to Bend, Oregon, and go check out that Blockbuster, because it would be such a crazy trip for me to go inside an actual Blockbuster again. I haven't been into a Blockbuster, I want to say, since about 2015, when I last worked, which was the Blockbuster Video in Beech Grove, Indiana, right outside of south side of Indianapolis. And that was my last time ever being inside a Blockbuster Video and working for a Blockbuster Video. It was so weird. And everything about working at a video store, there's so many people I know that have told me like how jealous they are. Like, man, I wish I could have had that opportunity to work at a Blockbuster or work at a video store in general. And man, it was a great time. I know I worked at several different stores. I was not a store manager. I was just below the assistant manager. So I was kind of like a third key, whatever, but I was still considered management. So I was able to open the store by myself, close the store, take the deposit, and do all those things in between. And what I hope to do with this series is give you guys an inside look at even why Blockbuster failed and the emails we got when Jim Keyes was the CEO at the time. We'd have to watch these videos of him basically assuring us that, hey guys, like, we're not going out of business. Don't worry about the chapter, was it 11, bankruptcy thing. We're going to be fine. And they ended up not being fine. And I want to talk about the ridiculous selling Snuggies. Remember Snuggies? Those blankets that they used to make in different colors, and they did camo, they did sports teams and things like that. I want to talk about the time they started selling Dish Network. Wow, I thought that was really interesting. And even Blockbuster's own video rental service, they did subscription-based in the mail. We're going to talk Game Pass. We're going to talk my thoughts on all these things with this series. And I'm going to have these videos out for you guys every Wednesday here on the domain and talk to you guys about that. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Blockbuster Video. Did you work there? What your memories were of being at Blockbuster Video? And not just, I want to make this very clear, this isn't just exclusively about Blockbuster, although I'll be talking a lot about it because that's the only video store I worked at. But this is about video renting in general in person too. So how I got my job at Blockbuster. Well, I grew up on the east side of Indianapolis off of Washington Street. And I just would go in there all the time and rent video games. I'm a gamer. I mean, obviously, you guys can tell. I played a ton of games. And I remember going in there all the time, and there was a guy named Jason who worked there. And he was the coolest dude. Like, I loved that he was, I always told him, man, you have a really cool job. You get to rent videos and video games to people and talk about movies. And I remember just, going in there, talking about games, helping other people, out with video games or movies to rent. Sometimes they thought that I had already had a job there. I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you where you go to a place and you help people out and they think that you're an employee. That used to be me. And so I remember one summer in 2003 or 2004, Jason saying, hey, why don't you work here? We should get you a job here. You would be great. You'd be a great employee. And I thought, you're right. Because my very first job in retail was working at a shoe store called Stout Shoes in downtown Indianapolis. And I had just I just left there because they weren't giving me enough hours. And I was like, I could use something part-time. So I got an interview with Jason, and I immediately got a job. And another coworker there named Jessica, she was fantastic too. She was the store manager at the time, I believe. And I had a really fun time there. It started out as a CSR, just your entry-level position. And I remember shortly after I worked there, Jason had left, and we just got, a new crew. And I wasn't a CSR for too long, a customer service representative. I wasn't a CSR for too long, but I do remember, working at a store that was very high in theft. And we ended up getting a store manager named Carrie. And Carrie was this guy who was just very odd man. Very odd guy. He was a little strict, and he decided to go ahead and promote me to, management, and that was the management position I had for the 10 years I worked at Blockbuster on the east side where I grew up in Indy. And we ended up getting in a couple new employees. Chris was a good dude. My buddy Kyle, that I'm still friends with today, I talked with him the other night. I was like, hey, I'm about to do this series. So maybe we'll have Kyle on here with me one time, and we'll do it. We'll do an episode of this together. I was talking about. I loved being a manager at Blockbuster. I remember being able to, if you remember when you walked in, they had those TVs that would hang from the ceilings, and they were always playing movies. I remember always just picking movies. I'd say, hey, what do you guys want to watch today if I opened or closed? And I remember going in and just picking my favorite movies. We would play just so many different kinds of movies in the store. And that's the thing I miss about video stores, is being able to talk to customers about movies and celebrate film, and being able to find out movies that customers enjoyed. The biggest benefit about working at Blockbuster was being able to rent. You got, I think it was like 5 free rentals a week, and we were allowed to take home movies that hadn't came out yet, but we had already received. And so we did that so that we could talk to you guys about the new movies coming out, because movies came out every Tuesday. And I remember having customers come in the store, and they always wanted. There was one guy in particular who came in, and he was a customer. He was a regular, and he said, "Hey man, I know that you guys get 5 free rentals a week, and you get the movies before they come out." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And he goes, "What if I told you I could help you make some money on the side?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to make money on the side. How can I do that? What you got a job for me?" He's like, "Well, what if you rented the movies and you let me take them home, and I could copy them, and then I can give you a percentage of the sales of what I copy." By the way, if you didn't already know, that's highly illegal. Even if I didn't work at Blockbuster, that's still a very illegal thing to do. And I said, I am not going to lose this job because you want to commit a crime, which can also get me arrested. It's a felony, by the way. And I had several customers who would try to do that all the time. They always wanted me, for whatever reason, to copy the movies or burn them a copy or let them borrow a movie. And I'm like, I can't even let you borrow a movie. Now, of course, friends I had back then that I lived with, if they lived with me, they got to watch them. I took them home and say, "Hey, let's watch this." But I'm not going to let you take movies home and copy them and try to sell and do some illegal pirating, before we had like the Pirate Bay and all that stuff. So that was a thing that I had to deal with quite a bit. One of the many things. We had a lot of theft at our store too in the east side of Indy. East side of Indy, by the way, if you don't know, is still a very highly crime-ridden area that I'm from. And so we would have lots of people commit crimes all the time. We had people that would come and rob us. My Blockbuster was next to a Papa John's, and they got robbed one time. And I was like, man, that's kind of weird. They're robbing a Papa John's, but not coming in our Blockbuster. And it was weird. I will tell you guys a story next week about a time I got robbed by gunpoint. And that was scary. That was a scary situation. And how it really pissed me off because of what my store manager did with that, which was a really shitty thing. But I just, I'm very fond of Blockbuster, and I loved working there. I've got lots more stories to share with you. We're going to go in more depth with that as I talk about some of the crazy stories. I'll tell you guys about the multiple personality guy. It was kind of fun. It was kind of odd. I don't know if he had multiple personality disorder, but I'm not making fun of that. It's just, the thing. And some of the things that happened with my coworkers, my other coworker, Kyle. I had 2 Kyles that I worked with at Blockbuster, and the second one, he did something really funny too one day. And just, we're going to talk about the Greenfield store. I had moved from Minneapolis to Greenfield. It was the very first time I ever moved out of Indy. And I went to the Greenfield store, and I have lots of probably better memories from that store than I do working on the east side of Indianapolis at Blockbuster. But I'm looking forward to sharing those memories with you guys. But this is more of an introduction video to what we're going to be doing here on the domain with Tales from the Block. So thank you guys for watching this video, and please leave your memories of Blockbuster or your favorite video rental store, whether it's Hollywood Video, all the ones I listed below. Leave those down in the comments below. I read those. I do respond to them. And I'm going to have more Tales from the Block for you guys next week. And until the next one, y'all have a good day.